What's up, everybody? This is going to be kind of a long-winded ramble. It's going to be a brief look at kind of the history of the Imperial Knights Codex releases that we've had, which aren't that many, as well as an impressions ramble for the 8th edition Imperial Knights Codex that has come out recently. I got my hands on it a couple of days ago, and I'm impressed with it. I want to give my thoughts on it. I'm going to give basic breakdown. I'm going to give my thoughts on it overall, as well as stuff I'd like to see for future. Because no codex is perfect, and there's definitely one thing specifically I want to see done a little bit differently whenever the next edition of the codex comes out, a decade or so from now, who knows. But with that said, I want to first kind of touch upon the Imperial Knights release from inception to now, because it's an interesting little ride, a little roller coaster ride, if you will. It's cool because this is kind of the first force we've got to see in a long time go from kind of experimental proof of concept to a full-fledged faction through the release of their codices. So the very first codex was really a proof of concept more than anything else. It was very basic and bare bones. It was several editions ago, so the way in which the entries were handled, armorless style, was different from how it is in 8th edition, but that's not what we're going to look at. Still was very basic. Minimalistic warlord trait stuff, minimalistic rules for them being allies and them being fielded as a pure Knights force, because yes, they were given from inception the capability of being a pure Knights force, which is what I am supremely interested in when it comes to Imperial Knights. And then outside of that, we had 2 entries, the Paladin and the Errant, and that was it. Some fluff and model showcasing, sure, but that was it for the entry side of things. And definitely received some flack for that from the community at large, but I didn't really have anything against it. Would I have liked to see more from the session? Of course. It's kind of almost silly to even have to bring that up, because it's kind of like, would you like to see more of something you like or less? Of course we're going to say more, right? It's like cookies. Whatever cookie you like, is everybody likes a certain type of cookie. Would you want more or less? Would you want 1, 2, 3, or more? Most people are going to definitely choose more than one. So, yes, we would have liked to see more from Inception, but the Paladin and the Errant were just kind of proof of concept. It was very bare bones. We didn't even have carapace weapons at this time. But the concept took off. It became popular. It proved that super heavy and other apocalypse-only things at the time could be in 40k without feeling like you were just turning the game on its head at all. So, kind of cool. Flash forward to the codex after that, and we have more than double the knight variants and a bit more going on in the codex itself. I remember this codex well because I forget what I was doing specifically, but I was on the road, on my own on the road, in a hotel, and I remember looking up on my phone, trying to find a wargaming store in the area, found one. They even called them up, just drove there because they had nothing better to do at the time, to pick it up and read it, because that's when the Knights Codex came out for the second time. And it was a good read. So it fleshed things out again with warlord traits, rules, a bit more concrete, a bit better written rules, you could say, for allies as well as being a standalone force. And we had, I believe we had some relics at this point. I could be mistaken, but I feel like we had some relics at this point for the knights to choose to further enhance a knight or so. We had the introduction of carapace weapons for the first time. 1 of 3 different weapons you could choose from: an anti-air gun, a missile launcher, or a rocket launcher. So that's pretty cool. The anti-air is definitely very nice. Gave the knights an answer for their biggest weakness, which was air. And we got 3 more knight variants. So added to the Paladin and the Errant are the Gallant, the Warden, and the Crusader. So that's very cool. And it further felt like steps in the right direction. I remember when I first read it, I'm like, you now really could field a pure Knights force and feel like you're representing something self-contained and not just having 2 knights to choose from, because you have 5. It just felt more like you could self-contain yourself in terms of feeling like a fleshed out proper force. But I remember also thinking, it's not quite there. It's a massive step in the right direction, however. So, with that said, not bad. A lot of cool improvements to the knights there. And then we got this 8th edition codex. And this is where we really see the knights come into their own. It's laid out like every other codex we've seen for several editions now. Fluff in the beginning, model showcase stuff in the middle, rules at the end. And here is where we get to see knights truly come into their own. This is, I feel, for the first time 100% fully proper, fleshed out to be a self-contained faction force and not just allies. I mean, they could always be a self-contained force in their codices, but now it feels fully catered to, properly catered to. So, with that said, let's look at what was added to it. Before we get to the knight variants, we have, of course, the warlord traits. We have chapter tactic-like effects. We have household traditions. 9 in total, 5 for Questor Imperialis, 5 for Questor Mechanicus. They're all loyalist knights, but the Mechanicus ones are more in line with the Mechanica, more kind of in their hierarchy, if you will. I'm not going to try and break it down here. It's just that some knights are more aligned with the Mechanicus than they are with the Imperium at large, so they kind of more follow Mechanicus protocol and rules and what have you. But whatever. The point is, you have 9 chapter tactic-like effects represented because of the household traditions set up this way. We have further warlord trait modifications based on household traditions, further improvements or further addition rules-wise if you're building a Battleforge list, which is pretty cool. Rules representing free blades, kind of for the first time. We have stratagems and what have you. We have relics of war that are called heirlooms, household heirlooms or whatever. And we have 4 pages worth, a lot more than I thought we were going to get. And this is because you have 9 houses to represent, plus basic or generic Questor Imperialis and Questor Mechanicus relics to represent. So, really cool to see. All of this by itself is a massive step in the right direction for making the Force feel like a self-contained proper faction. And then on top of that, we have more knight variants. So we have the Paladin, Errant, Gallant, Warden, Crusader, as kind of the core going into this codex. And then we add to that, for the first time, some lightweight knights, the Armigers, Armiger Helverins, and Armiger Warglaves. So that brings up to 7 variants. Then from there we get kind of the heavyweight guys. We get the Valiant and Castellan knights. One being really close range, overwhelming firepower, the Valiant, and the Castellan being long range, punishing firepower. So that brings us to 9 knight variants. But we're not done. Now, if you're like me at all, you don't really follow Warhammer community every day of the week, and you maybe forget to look it up. And when it came to the knights coming out, I just straight up forgot to check out the Warhammer community page, because every time a codex is announced as coming, we get a preview week. And I've checked out preview weeks for a bunch of the codices, not all of them, and I forgot to for this one. Got busy with work and life and just forgot all about it. So if they made mention of the 10th knight variant in there, I don't know. If they did, it wouldn't have been a surprise, I guess, for you. But for me, not having checked it out, it was a nice, pleasant surprise to see a 10th knight variant, the Knight Preceptor. Alongside that, we have 10 variants, and we have a special character Freeblade based on the Knight Preceptor, the Canis Rex, known as the Chainbreaker, which is a cool title. I did not expect that either, and again, I don't know if they mentioned that in the community preview week or not, but if they did, then it would have been less of a surprise. But for me, it was a nice, pleasant surprise to see that. So we have 10 distinct variants, a special character Freeblade represented, household tradition, chapter tactic type stuff, warlord traits, relics of war, the full 9 yards, Battleforge enhancements, Freeblade rule setup, or trait setup stuff to represent other Freeblades. Really a very nice self-contained representation for the Imperial Knights. Now, before I go further, you might be looking at what I'm saying going, how do we have 10? You know, the Valiant and the Castellan are the same thing with different weapons. The Helverins and the Warglaves are the same thing with different weapons. Yeah, but so are the Paladin, the Errant, the Warden, the Gallant, and the Crusader. They're all variants. So we have 10 different variants in total. The Knight Preceptor is cool. It has a new weapon, the Las Impulsor, and that looks pretty sweet. And it got me wondering, where's the model? Now, I don't know if, again, GW said this during their preview week or not, but I have to imagine we're going to get a model twofold. The Canis Rex is a special character Knight Preceptor, and B, more importantly, GW has never given us an entry in the Codex since, like, mid 5th edition without having a model to support it. It hasn't been done for many years now. So I very much doubt they're going to do that here. They always could, but I very much doubt it. And the big reason I doubt it is in the model showcase section, we see the Canis Rex model all painted up and cool. And as a result, they didn't say anything about it being converted. For example, in the Grey Knight Codex, they mention, hey, you have to convert up your own chaplain for the Grey Knight's chaplain. But they distinctly mention that. So that's fine. And because they distinctly mention it, you're not being led to think this is a new model. And they kind of give basic talks on it and kind of give you a website to check out, one of their websites to check out for information or what have you. That's not the case here. Here we have just a model showcase without saying anything about it being a conversion or whatnot. So I think this is what we're going to get eventually. It's probably just going to be the Canis Rex kit. It's probably going to have a model to represent the pilot on foot, something special for the Canis Rex only. And then the kit for the Canis Rex itself will probably be a generic Knight Preceptor kit. Generic because I don't think there's going to be any scope of detail based on the model showcase. For the Canis Rex, it'll all be transfers. So we'll probably get a Canis Rex transfer sheet and then the Knight Preceptor kit itself. And from there, you can buy that to build your own Knight Preceptor if you don't want to build the Canis Rex. That's my guess. So that'll be pretty cool. Again, the Warhammer community page may have already said something on this. I haven't checked it out to look it up. So I could just be beating a dead horse that you already know about. But I have no idea. So that's me spitballing without having any clue. With that said, 10 Knight variants, Warlord traits, household traditions, household heirloom relic stuff, or heirloom, I should say, relic stuff, Battleforge improvements, free blade rule sets. All in all, really makes them feel properly fleshed out. Now, your free blade can feel different from House Hawkshroud, which can feel different from House Terran, which can feel different from House Krast, and so on. So that's really cool. If you make up your own house, you just pick one of the household traditions that best fits it, and you're good to go. Just like you would do with the Space Marine chapter. So, really liking what I'm seeing. With that said, there's only, outside of introducing brand new stuff, which, you know, the sky's the limit for what they could do in the next edition, whenever that is. There are two things I would have liked to have seen with this codex, and I don't think either. Well, I know one isn't done for sure. I actually don't know where my codex went. I just had it. No, I found it. Hold on a second. It's trying to walk away on me. But I just want to double check something real quick as I ramble here. I don't think we have any additional options for the carapace weapons. In fact, we do not. Now, they may act a little different, but we have the same missile pod, rocket pod, and Twin Icarus autocannon stuff. So there isn't anything new carapace weapon-wise. Would have been cool to see something new, something added, something really techy and weird. Would have been interesting. By the same notion to nitpick, the heavy stuff or whatever that's on the shoulder or in the torso of the Imperial Knight can be upgraded to a melta gun. Would have been cool to see that be upgraded to something else, maybe like a grav gun or something. I don't know, just something weird and different. But those are just nitpicks. The carapace weapon thing would be cool to see an additional one in the future. What I really would like to see, however, pertains specifically to the Knight Crusader, because the Knight Crusader is an interesting knight. The Valiant and the Castellan are two different approaches to overwhelming firepower. They're meant to be either pure long range or pure short range, kill you stuff. So being two separate things is fine. The Knight Gallant is a melee only knight outside of any type of carapace weapon. So it's got a chain sword, the Reaper chain sword, and the Thunderstrike gauntlet, or whatever it is. That's fine. But the Crusader is meant to be your kind of mid-roll generic fire support knight. It has two ranged main weapons, one for each arm. So each arm is a ranged weapon. And it can have obviously a carapace weapon. But my point is, it's interesting because it has an arm upgrade, if you so desire. It starts off with the thermal cannon. I'm just talking arm weapons here. It starts off with the thermal cannon and the Avenger Gatling cannon. From there, you can upgrade the thermal cannon to a rapid fire battle cannon if you so desire. But that's it. And I feel like what the Crusader Knight represents should have a bit more freeform to it. Now, I know why it's like it is. The kit comes with one Avenger Gatling cannon, one rapid fire battle cannon, one thermal cannon. And GW, especially nowadays, is really dead set on giving you option and wargear-wise what comes in the kit. This is why, for example, the Primaris Captain has no real options outside of a power sword or a different type of auto bolt gun. Starker bolt gun and auto bolt gun. He has no other options because his blister can't build anything else. And it's a real shame that they're really going this kind of constricted by whatever the kit can build, if that's truly how it goes, and there's a lot of support for this. So, while yes, the Knight kits are expensive, and it's nice that it's not forcing you to go out and buy another kit to represent some form of the Crusader, at the same time, especially building a pure Knights list, you're going to have more than one kit. And it would have been nice to see the Knight Crusader have the ability to field 2 Avenger Gatling cannons, or 2 rapid fire battle cannons, or 2 thermal cannons, representing its range support nature. It would have also been nice to see a rapid fire battle cannon and thermal cannon combination. The thing about the ranged weapons for the regular Knights setup is that they're ambidextrous. And we see this in the Avenger Gatling cannon. It can be on the right arm or the left arm. It's on the left arm for the Crusader, and it's on the right arm for the Warden. So it can be either arm. Same thing for the Orant and Paladin weapons, the rapid fire battle cannon and the thermal cannon. While the Knight Preceptor is new, and obviously not in the kit, or doesn't have a kit yet at all, you could also throw that into the Crusader's weapon lineup if you so desired. If you want to keep that distinctly different, separate, and kind of arcane feeling, fine. But give us the 2 options for each, thermal cannon, rapid fire battle cannon, or Avenger Gatling cannon, and then give us the option to have a rapid fire battle cannon or thermal cannon together, and thermal cannon together, instead of just always the Avenger Gatling cannon and one of the other ones. I think that would really help open up the Crusader's fire support potential that it's meant to have, and just give us yet another level of fleshing out our force, having it feel different from somebody else's. That's really the only big thing I want to see aside from Carapace weapon options. Outside of that, if they introduce a whole nother Knight variant in the future, great. But having 10 total now, we have a real nice selection of stuff. And how many Omegers are you going to field, or whatever the case might be. What are you going to take as allies to something? Or if you're like me and would love to build a pure Knights list, how would you build your Knight list? We have a lot of options here now, from the Knight entries themselves to the household traditions and so on and so forth. So I think a really good, proper, fleshed out Codex. We've arrived at the destination that the Knight Codex, I would say, wanted to be at for years now. And anything in the future, you can help further flesh it out and explore it and have fun with it. So what are your thoughts? Thanks very much for sticking through this long-winded ramble. Leave any questions, comments, or requests in the comment section below. And until next time, take it easy.